Another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchendu. Thanks a lot for joining us. A lot has gone on through the week, but something stood out in the week that was. International Women's Day was celebrated across the world. And of course, Nigeria was not left out. We're going to be dedicating our show today celebrating women, talking about all the issues that revolve around women, and of course, uniquely to Nigeria. Yes, we're talking women, and Ebuka is here talking about that. But just to make sure that everything is done as it should, I have a special co-host today joining me on the show. She is a TV host of so many, many years, a producer, and a very good friend of mine. Please join me as I welcome Stephanie Koka Aderiyokun. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
And well, I would say Happy Mother's Day, but I extend it to your wife.
Yes, I will.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Hello, everyone. March comes with a lot of excitement, joy, and celebration of women everywhere. Every day, I'm reminded of the power we hold as women and how far we've come in chasing and making our dreams come true in spite of the many holdbacks and societal expectations. Women are thriving and becoming more.
Definitely they are. And we look at what's happening around the world, and most, especially in Nigeria, actually looking at the past, women who have shaped our nation. And what we are going through now, we're hoping that the women who have found their space in government today help us out of this quagmire that we found ourselves right now, because things are rough.
Yeah.
And hopefully the women can do it for us, isn't it?
Yeah. And one nice thing is that there are quite a number of women in this,
in this government,
administration. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that they help us out of all our problems. But we'll have a special guest here joining us on the show today who has quite an interesting role, and we'll be getting into it. She's a Chief Legal and Company Secretary at Eco Electric Disco. Wola Joseph Conducti. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Ebuka.
I know people just hear Eco Disco and all our tentacles are up, because I have many questions.
Yeah, I was just thinking about electricity.
It's Mother's Day. What are we talking about?
Happy International Women's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
So
and everything. Let's not start with harassing you.
Yeah. Let's not even continue with that.
So, I mean, you sit on the board of this organization that is extremely pivotal to Nigeria. Eco Disco is at the center of what you would probably call the economic hub of the nation, right? And with all the teething issues and all of that, first of all, being on a board like that, because when I think of Eco Disco, I think of men just sitting around the table and making all those decisions. Is that the truth? Is that the fact? And how has it been navigating your way through that space?
Okay, so first of all, let me clarify. I sit on the board as a company secretary, not really as a full board member. So I don't really have voting rights. All I do is kind of guide, advise from time to time, and just generally keep them up to date on what's going on with the company. Our board is actually, we have 6 men and 1 woman. But I must tell you that...
She took a deep breath.
I had to sigh
No, but you see, so I must tell you that on the senior management level, we have a majority of women. So my board is the kind of board that actually is very, very sensitive to women's needs, and they support women as much as possible. So despite the fact that they're all males, a lot of them actually have mostly female kids. So I think that has actually spilled into the way they think and interpret what it is that the woman should be doing. And so at the senior management level, we actually have a lot more females than we have males. That is not necessarily like they went out and looked for females. It's just that we're actually, I'm sorry to say this, we're actually we're the most competent gender and efficient gender, if I may put that out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Because people always say, we have all the cliches saying what a man can do, and all of that. And we care a lot about, women being given the, I don't know how that word sounds sometimes, almost like they need help, giving the chance to prove themselves. But I think it's a fair way to put it, right? Especially in spaces like this where, we think it's a male-dominated space. So you say there's a lot of women in those top management roles. Absolutely. Do you find that they are more efficient, any different than the men? And I'm guessing I'm saying make a case for why women should be in these places.
So Women are more efficient, I must tell you that. That's the truth. It's not even me. We juggle so much. We juggle the home, we juggle our kids, we juggle so much, and we're able to ensure that even at work, we're on top of our games. And so you can see that today, where you find that a lot of organizations, their next appointed female CEOs. I mean, if you look at even the Access Bank, a lot of all these banks have female CEOs being appointed now. So definitely we're doing very, very well. And it is definitely a deliberate attempt. But there's something I wanted to point out. It's a male-dominated industry, and it is a male-dominated company. It's a power company. A lot of our work involves carrying ladders, and I'm talking about the lower cadre staff, and climbing ladders as well. So we have a lot of males in that field. Also, it's a lot of engineers. In my class when I was in UI, we had 2 female engineers in about 100 engineers. So that tells you that even in the market, you cannot get a lot of female engineers to employ. So that's where I would say the challenge even starts from. So it's not necessarily a matter of people not wanting to engage in, and I'm talking about in the power industry, not wanting to engage female engineers. It's just there's a dearth. We don't have as many female engineers out there to employ.
Yeah. I want to ask, I know you're my co-host, but I also want to ask you too, because the theme for this year is Inspire Inclusion, right? And I think that's very, very key. And I was reading also up some stats, you know, that apparently there was a marginal decline in the number of female board members in Nigeria in the last calendar year from 27.9 to 27.4. I mean, not a lot, but it's 27% is not even close to half, right? So you work in media.
Yeah.
On air, it might look like there might be some sort of equality. Off air, do you feel like it's the same thing when you come to, I mean, I know you are doing some production now, but you look at the crew, you look at producers, directors, what are you seeing in the media space?
So, yes, what you said about the numbers, it looks like there are a lot of women in media, but that's just front-facing, the camera-facing roles. And I have a production company where our aim is to we'll try as much as possible to hire females behind the camera, because there are a lot of women that want to do, like, they want to be sound engineers, they want to hold equipment on set, they want to be runners, they want to be behind the scenes, they don't want to always be front facing. But the challenge is sometimes they apply for those roles and they're like, oh, you should actually be in front of the camera. And it's like, no, we don't really need any more people in front of the camera. This person wants to do this job. And it speaks to what you were saying about the engineers. Like, sometimes women are kind of led to study things that there's not really what they want to study. It's not the path they want to take. Things they feel are softer. Yeah, but it's like it's softer. Oh, okay, actually, no. Or men look at them and like, you can be a camera operator. It's a cameraman, not a camera woman, you know? But now we're trying to change that, and that's part of the whole inclusion. And it's great that was the theme this year, because it's very important for us to be able to tell the younger generation that you can be whatever you want to be. And that's so cliche, and we've been saying it for centuries, but it's still there. It's still an issue where women are still being told, actually, are you sure that's what you want to do? It's not really a female role. So, I think there's a lot more that can be done in media.
Speaking of that Inspire Inclusion, I'm wondering, how do you inspire inclusion? Because it looks like it's something that the men need to hear in this case, right? Because if you're talking 27% out of 100, who's holding that space?
Is that the Nigerian statistics, or is that worldwide?
Nigeria.
Okay, because worldwide it's different. Actually.
Yeah, definitely global. This is the Nigerian statistics, Gender Diversity Scoreboard by PWR Advisory. That's where it came from. So I'm just wondering, how do you start to inspire inclusion? What do men need to hear to understand? Or do they need to see people like you doing the work before they actually understand?
I think men need to speak.
I said they, we.
No, men need to speak for women more. And I think people listen better when it's the man talking about it, because they're not the ones who are the direct beneficiaries of whatever it is that they're saying. But the truth about it is that from an indirect perspective, men benefit the most, because a lot of all these corporations, quite a number of them are owned by men. So they're beginning to see that if they employ women in these positions, women are more competent, like I said earlier, more efficient. So inspiring inclusion starts from we even having this conversation. There's a Women in Energy Network, which I'm a founding member of. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. We have STEM initiatives that we're running. And what we try to do is we go to schools and let people get the exposure to science subjects. Let them know that there are these things that we do that women can do, that women can do, these jobs that women can do. It's not just for men. Even at work, we have your Bring Your Daughter to Work day, where you can actually bring your daughter to work, who can see that this is what I do, this is what other women do, you can also do it. And in all these companies, really, even if the men are doing the heavy lifting, like they want to believe, like climbing the ladders and all that, we have people like me. I'm a lawyer, and I'm working in a male-dominated field. So it doesn't have to also be a man at that part of the business. So inspiring inclusion starts with us even starting the conversations from the primary level. Even at homes, let parents understand that your child saying they want to go to a camera training school, like Stephanie mentioned, does not mean that they cannot excel at it. Doesn't mean that they cannot do it. You should also allow your females see that they can also do these things that men are doing. And I think that conversation starts at the childhood level, at the home level. Not just go and be a lawyer, go and be an accountant, go and be a doctor. That's what women, your mates are doing. But look, there are other things you can do outside that space. So educating the parents is extremely important.
Yeah, and there's these conversations, you know, generational differences, like patriarchy and sexism is viewed differently in different generations. So my mom's generation may view a man dominating a space as normal, but my generation, we're like, no, that's not normal. How do we bridge the gap with these conversations? How do we have discourse around this so that we both understand, both generations are understanding of this issue?
Yeah, very true. I mean, when you were speaking there, I remember seeing a story, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, of a girl, I think she's about 5 or 6, whose mom is a lawyer. And she met her mom's colleague for the first time, and she's like, oh, what do you do? And the guy says, I'm a lawyer. She's like, no, you have to be a woman to be a lawyer. And it just was interesting, because for her, that's what a woman does. So that's what you're talking about. That's what she sees, and it's normal for her. You know, but I mean, I look at all the statistics globally, and I want to talk about the cultural nuances and, you know, peculiarities to Nigeria. Because countries like Rwanda, for example, there are more women in parliament than men. It doesn't mean there are more women in the country. Kenya, it just so happens that Kenya, you know, you have all of these countries where it's so normal. It's not even a thing. While here we have, what, 2 senators? So it's ridiculous numbers, you know. So how do you find that, you know, culture plays into all of this? And because of how strongly we hold to our culture, religion, beliefs, whatever it is, you know, oh, a woman will soon go and get pregnant now, she has to take leave, you know, all of those things. How do you start to have those conversations? Because it's so deeply ingrained in us.
So I think first of all, let's even start from where the issues started from. Culturally, we've always believed that women are just supposed to be in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids. So that's where the problem starts from. So if we're going to be talking about how do we solve this solution, like I mentioned earlier, we need to go back to the home front. We need to go to schools. We need to talk to people at schools. We need to make people believe. I mean, the school that my kids go to sometimes, there was a time one of the teachers, because I have 3 daughters and I have 2 sons, and there was a time one of the teachers in the school made a statement to her, and I had to call the teacher to tell the teacher, you don't make, it was a very, very funny statement. As a girl, you shouldn't do, you know,
as a girl,
that's not the point. That statement is what I don't want to hear. Don't say that to my child. If a boy can do it, then a girl can do it. Don't give that distinction. So there's a mindset change that needs to happen at all levels. It's not just, it's at school, it's at home, it's at all levels. And we need to start having, this is the beginning of such discussions. I mean, on a Sunday evening, we're here talking about it. It's Women's Month, and we're here talking about it and engaging on these issues. Letting the knowledge, let people know that this is a problem, and let like, I talk to some of my domestics and let them know that, look, don't close what your children can do. If your children need to go to school, because what you find is that a lot of the times, they can't afford to send all kids to school, so they send the boys to school, the girls stay at home. And I'm like, no, give your children an opportunity. We have the Dora Kulis out there, we have Michelle Obama's out there, that we're giving opportunities, so give your children the opportunity as much as possible as well. Whatever it takes, give them the opportunity.
I think what you're saying is very, very key, because most times you find that women have to open the doors for other women. Like you said, you're doing with your production, you're hiring other women, but it also takes sometimes money. To do a lot of this, and having that access to money is, I mean, I know you're very passionate about gender gaps and, you know, the pay disparities and all of that. We want to speak on it.
I mean,
even in our industry.
Yeah, even in our industry, it's really tough, because we are both doing the same work, if not sometimes more. Because don't forget, the woman is also balancing the home. So, but the pay, there's such a gap, and there's there's still no reason for it. It's just based on gender. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
There's so much that can be done and that should be done, but it's like the conversations are always had and then it just ends there.
Yeah, because this pay gap thing has been going on.
Yeah. So it is almost like as a woman, you now have to take it upon yourself that when you are hiring a woman, make sure that you are paying her well, because that's another thing. We can complain about men not paying women or there being a pay gap, but are women being fair to women as well in the workspace? In
the workspace, yes.
Yeah.
So women also need to embrace this. But I think the reason why we have this pay gaps a lot of the times, and this is because I've consulted for some projects where they're hiring people, and I realized that the challenge is they feel that women will go out on this maternity leave at some point in time. They will take time off to take some child to the hospital, and they're trying to make up for it with the pay. So that's actually the challenge. They don't understand that your wife is taking care of your home as well. That's why you're at work, right?
Exactly.
So you need to also factor that in. It's a huge sacrifice that we're making, and not that we should get punished for it like that, which is what is currently happening. And that's why that pay gap, there was a rule that I was talking about, and they're like, the salary was pegged for a guy. And then when they found out that it was only a woman that could take up the role, we were going to reduce it, and I was like, no, that's not going to happen.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. So it happens today all over Nigeria. Don't let me say all over the world, but all over Nigeria, a lot of people think that women should earn much less, which I don't think, is the right way to go. To be honest, I'm not even joking. Women are able to even put in a lot more because we can multitask. Yeah. We can do so many things. We're versatile. So that really should count for something to be very, very large extent.
Well, almost out of time, so I think I want to get from you on a final note. What do you want to see? Because International Women's Day is every year, right? Next year, we're going to get to another one. What do you want to see between now and next year achieved, especially in Nigeria? It's sometimes small lips and bounds and whatever. What do you want to see happen in the next year?
What is most critical for me is for the women to be more competent. So I always say we're not looking for pity. We're not looking for people to just say, oh, well, let's just have mercy on them so that they won't say women. No, we need to ensure that we are the best in what we do. We need to educate ourselves. We need to make sure we bring our A game to work. So what I want to see is, I want to see women featured more, but not because people pity them, but because they are competent, because they have the necessary experience, they have the necessary academic qualifications. So what I want to see is a change at all levels. We're seeing changes we're seeing changes at the board levels, at senior levels, but I think it needs to trickle down. Yeah. So between now and next year, I want to see that trickle down to more junior positions where you have more competent. I always say competence, not just because you're female, but because you're actually competent and you're the most suited for that role. Yeah.
Before we go, I want to ask an eco-disco question.
Oh my God.
What's going on? The weather is hot.
Extremely hot.
So
help us.
Eco-disco distributes power. I always like telling people that, let's be clear, we do not generate at all. We do not transmit. So if there's any problem with generation, if there's any problem with transmission,
you can't distribute.
We have nothing to distribute. But what we're doing as Eco-disco is that we're trying to get what we call embedded generation power into our system, which is off the grid. It just comes from a large generator planted within our network and plugged into the system. It's a lot more expensive, but it's more efficient and more reliable.
It's hot too.
It is, I know. Well,
that's a siren.
I'll show you.
That siren is such a turn on for me.
Wow. This is like Christmas. Every time we hear it.
When it comes on, it means there's lights. That's the thing. So
please help us.
It doesn't come on when it goes.
Talk to your people. Thank you so much for being here today. Happy Mother's Day again. Happy International Women's Day. And thanks for being here today. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time. Yes, we're celebrating International Women's Day right here on Rubbing Minds. Our first segment, we had a member of a board, and now we're going to a CEO. You know her as J-Booms. It's Bumi George, CEO Shredder Gang. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And of course, Stephanie Koka is still here working with me. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
From social media, I asked that, and I like to ask that very sincerely, because we see people on social media and everybody is just nice and glowing and everything, but we know what's going on in the country. So once again, how are you?
I'm doing well by the grace of God.
Amen.
Oh, love it.
And still speaking of that, how's business? Because a lot of people who run businesses are going through it in this economy, right? I mean, you know this. The economy is stifling a lot of people. For someone like you who's gone through, the years, going through all of the economics, whether it's up or down, and for a woman added to that, how have things sort of shaped up for you as things have changed?
Okay, so I guess it's going to be a little bit different from other people's reality,
Yes.
and I'm not really going to make apologies for that.
Please
because
speak
I know
your truth.
That a lot is going on in the world, and in Nigeria specifically,
Yeah.
you know, with the recession, with the plummets in the, you know, in the dollar, everything is just crazy. But for Shredder Gang, I have found that when things are going really bad, that's when we do really well.
Let me cross my leg.
I'm trying. I can't wait for the correlation.
And so I don't know, but I would say that so far 2024 has been my best year yet.
Why is that? Because her mouth is open. What is different for you? Is it because of the kind of business you do? And for those who don't know, what does Shredder Gang do?
Okay, so Shredder Gang is a nutrition and fitness company based here in Lagos, but we deal with the global economy and everyone around the world. So we help people lose weight, we help them stay fit, we help moms get their body back. Yeah. We help people who have health-related issues, so diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. And so that's just what we do in a nutshell. So maybe, you know, I think we're coming to the age where there's a lot of awareness on health and fitness. And I think our generation as millennials, Gen Z, I think that we're taking our health more seriously.
True.
People are signing up to the gym. People
Gyms
are eating
packed,
healthy.
man.
Yeah, people are eating healthy because it's helping them with their mental state. Like for me, I've been through a very rough 6 months. And one of the things that has really helped me is working out. And so if I'm looking at my life, and maybe if that's mirroring other people's lives, maybe they're doing it as well, because I just want to get those, you know, happy hormones, endorphins popping. And so it's possibly the correlation that, you know what, if my mind is right, then maybe I can do better. Yeah. So maybe that's why.
Okay, so people are focusing more on their well-being and their mental health and their physical health.
I think so.
Okay, that's...
Are we in the wrong business?
Maybe. Because my own correlation was that maybe people don't have money to do some types of surgery, so they're focusing more on where should I go.
No, but if you think about it,
so
actually...
It's possible. It's also possible. It's also possible.
And what you said actually makes sense, because, like I said, there's a lot of gyms popping up across, at least in Lagos, I see that. And they're all packed Monday to Monday. And it makes sense that if you're going through something, for a lot of people, the gyms are therapeutic. You know, you're trying to just, you know, clear your head. And I guess if you are worrying less about your health, you can focus on the other problems that are crushing you. So maybe that's
the correlation.
Yeah, but running a business like that, first of all, you think fitness, most times you think of men. I don't know if it's a male-dominated space, especially the nutrition side of things. Did you find that it was when you got in? How long have you run this for? Then, and how have you been able to hold on and, you know, become this brand that everybody knows?
Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of history. So this industry was male-dominated when I first got into it. So I had moved from Canada to Nigeria because I had this brilliant idea of how to help women lose weight, not the traditional way, right, of gym or, you know, pills or surgery, different things, right? And it was never done the way that I envisioned it to be. So when I came, it was just men, right? But through education, through awareness, I was able to create this industry that now other women have now come for. So I'm kind of like a pioneer and the trailblazer in the industry. And so now it's almost like I paved way for other women to come in to a largely, you know, male-dominated industry. So I think it has shifted over the years, especially in the nutrition part. Now you see a lot of women who now have certifications, who are even running gyms. Like even like the most popular gym is co-owned by a woman, right? So. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, how are you using, you know, your position to springboard other women into big, higher positions and bringing them along? But it sounds like you're doing, you're doing a lot.
I think I'll come from another angle. So for me, because I used to be overweight, I think a lot of people forget that because I've been this size for a long time. I used to weigh 130 kilograms. So right now I've lost 60 kilograms, which is almost 120 pounds.
How are you able to do that?
through diet and exercise.
Okay.
Right? So I didn't get any surgery, even though there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing,
absolutely nothing wrong with that. No judgment, no shame. But I basically just changed how I ate, and I worked out, and the weight fell off. And so for me, I love to see women be the best that they can be. And so for many women, when they look their best, when they feel their best, they can present themselves as the best. So that's how I see myself as contributing to their well-being and making sure that they can do what they do best.
Yeah, no, you're doing a great job, especially, and you're also a wife and mother.
Yes.
Which is where I was going to go to now,
We all
because
know.
you know, we see all of this exhausting debates on social media every day. Oh, who is pounding yam? Oh, where are you supposed to be in the kitchen? You know, and sometimes, sadly, it comes from from this generation that you would think, you know, are a little more aware of how things should be. So, I mean, you probably have a few ladies young who come up to you for mentoring or whatever. What do you find the mindset is? Is that the overwhelming sort of mindsets with men and women, maybe more men? What do you find is going on in that space? Because sometimes when I read some of these tweets or X's, whatever they are called now, I just wonder, these debates go on for 2 days about, well, this is a woman, you know, and it's just like, what do you find in that space?
Honestly, I think like it's a double whammy.
Yeah.
Especially for Nigerian women. Let's even focus on Nigerian women. Because like Nigeria is still very patriarchal in terms of how we think about family, how we think about life. And for Nigerian women, now you look at the economy. We cannot afford to sit at home like the older generations who maybe were housewives, who really didn't have much that they were doing other than raising their families. Now, we can't really do that.
I always say there's nothing sweeter than a double income home.
Honestly, we have to earn, we have to contribute. So it's almost like I have to raise my children like I have no job, and I have to work like I have no children. So like there's a dichotomy, where do I win? And then it's almost like the care of the home, the needs of the home is still placed on the woman. So then she feels upset, she feels angry because then she has no help, right? Statistics show that in most homes, the burden is on the woman when we have two equal partners in the home, right? And so I can see why people have that, you know, tension. For me, I do what works for me and what works for my family, right? I can't preach that to people as that's what you should do. But for me, in my home, if I have the opportunity to get a chef to help me take care of the meal, I'm going to do that, right? And I do that. But you find in society, it's like, you know, that's why our children are useless. When she's busy, like, climbing corporate ladders, traveling all over the world.
Instead of taking care of her home.
Instead of taking care of her home. But you want me to contribute as well. So where do I win?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, but for me, I think that there is a way that, you know, you as a person, I try not to live with what society says. I try to, you know, just be me and be me authentically. In my home, this is what works for us. This is what works for us. My husband is different from other people's husbands, right? And it's working for me. And so if it's not broken,
don't fix it.
Yeah.
You have how many boys?
I have 2 boys.
That's a very important question I need to ask now, because I always wonder how the women who have this sort of mindset raise their sons.
Okay.
Because we've always said a lot of the changes that need to happen need to come from the men, right? Yeah. You know, women understand this already. A lot of men, even if they understand, I mean, nobody really wants to take their space. So how are you raising these boys? What are you telling them? Because this is for also speaking to those who are watching, who are raising boys to say, okay, this is how you treat a woman, this is how you interact in society, where it doesn't necessarily stifle your masculinity or diminish your manliness. You know, how do you do that?
Okay, I think first of all, I'll say that I grew up in a home where I am the only girl. So I have 4 older brothers, and I'm the only girl, and so I grew up with my mother already modeling what that looked like. So having 2 boys is not really like, you know, I'm out of the ocean. I kind of like, not really winging it, because I have my mother as a model as to what to follow. So for my boys, I let them know that, listen, you are a human being, just like a girl is a human being. Last weekend, I had their friends over, they baked cupcakes and cookies, and they decorated. and I had 6 boys and 1 girl. So in the kitchen, they help me, they cook. They have a lot of responsibility already. My first child is about to be 9 and my second is 7. They have chores that they do at home. So I make sure that when they wake up in the morning, even though they're that little, they take off their pajamas, they put it in the dirty clothes basket. They make their bed at their age. They already know, I've taught them how to give themselves a bath. So they're already having this sense of responsibility. And my husband is very, very strict about that you have to know that you are responsible for your own life. So even when they eat, before they go to school, they wash their plates. The other day, one of them left the plate on the sink. I'm like, who did you employ to wash that for you? Please go back.
Are you paying rent in this house?
Exactly. Go back and wash. You know, and even in the activities that we do, like in our free time, I make sure, like my 2 sons, they're excellent knitters. They know how to knit and crochet. Right, so I'm trying to, so that this gender rules, you know, oh, it's only women that cook, it's only women that wash, women are in the kitchen. So I'm making them understand that, listen, you are a human being just like everybody else. You have your own responsibilities. A woman will have her own responsibilities, but you have to take care of your own self. So they're learning how to cook. They're learning how to knit. They're doing many different things. And also, even in the way that they see that their father treats me, is also how it's modeled to them.
Very, very important.
Right? Yeah. So, you know, how's that going in the home? How's that modeling going? And they're watching and they're seeing that. And so I think that it's very, very powerful when a man can model that to his sons, as to this is how you respect a woman, this is how you treat a woman. And they can already see that from a young age. So, I'll give it like another 15 years. And then we'll come back.
Yeah, that's amazing. It should even be inclusion for all, because everything you said is just the opposite. It's like what we just said earlier with our previous guest about including women in different roles, but also men as well, allowing them to explore and see things that they like. I'm so happy to hear that you are you know, like, including them in baking. That's something
There's money in a chef business.
Yeah.
Plenty money.
Yeah,
I want to put both of you on the spot. You first again, because we live in a society where there's judgments based on your status as a woman, married or single, right? We hear all these things about landlords saying they don't rent to single women. You know, we hear things about sometimes jobs prefer employing single women because they know at least they're not going to take a maternity leave anytime soon. So it's like a win-lose depending on where you are. For you, for example, who's always been in the limelight for a couple of years now, you were single at the start of your time on TV, you're married now. Have there been any differences you've noticed in sort of getting work, how you're perceived, when you're networking, whatever it is? Has there been a difference?
Yeah, so when I was single, everyone was more like, oh yeah, we want to employ you. You can, you know, work late, you can travel, you can do this. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I can. And, you know, the perception online is, okay, well, you're getting older now, you should get married. And it's like, okay, I'm going to get married. I got married. And then for employers, it's now like, oh, you're married. Oh, okay, you have a child. Oh, you probably can't do certain things, like you can't travel. And I'm like, who told you that? Without even asking you. Yeah, I'm like, who told you that? Or, oh, you probably can't host things at night. You know, you have a husband and a child. It's like, why are you making these assumptions for women? Do you know my husband? Do you know if he's okay with it? And even, you know, without standing, like, I'm still my own person. I can still make decisions for myself. So I feel like from an employment perspective, it has shifted a lot, where people just make a lot of assumptions for women, and they just try to sideline you from work because you are married and you have a child. Whereas it becomes confusing for you, because it's like, well, I thought that's what society wanted. I thought you guys wanted me to get married.
You wanted to get married and go away.
Once you get to a certain age, they're like, madam, all this one you're doing, will you not go and get married? You know, so it's just like women, we're just constantly battling with society. But, you know, you have to do what works for you, and you have to do things at your own time. So if you want to get married and you still want to work, that's possible, but you have to be able to just stand on your own 2 feet and say, and be firm and say, no, I am available to do this job, and I will do it to the best of my ability. It has nothing to do with my position as a wife or a mother. But saying that, they should also still understand that, you know, you're a mother. So there are, yes, things that you probably can't do, like when you are maybe breastfeeding and things like that. There should be things put in place for that. But at the same time, I'm able to do it. I'm a woman. We could do everything. So, yeah.
Same with you?
I'll just piggyback on what she said because I think that mine's a little bit different because I'm an entrepreneur. So
so you run your things your way.
Exactly. But I mean, coming into a male-dominated industry 11 years ago, I think I'll attribute it a little bit to my character as well. I have strength of character. I like to say that, and it takes a lot for me to back down. I usually don't take no for an answer, and so I'm banging on the doors until you answer me. And you're not going to say because I'm a woman. In fact, that annoys me because I'm like, why? Why am I not given the opportunity to do X,
now
Y, Z?
You have to explain to me.
Exactly. And then I will tell you why I can do X, Y, Z. And so I'll say what she said. Like, don't make assumptions for us. Don't make conclusions for us. We can answer for ourselves.
Yeah. What do you call success? How would you define success? And do you think it's different for a woman as against a man, right? And I ask that because people always believe, oh, she's broken the glass ceiling. And some of these ceilings sometimes are things that men have done for her. You know, are those successes, you think? Where do you think the barrier for success for women should be? Do you think we're at a point where, especially in Nigeria, where maybe in certain industries you're like, okay, there's equality, but in your industry, for example, and the women you see around you, how do you think we define success?
I think I'll first of all say that success is defined based on you as a person and what you think success is. So success for me might be different from what success is for Stephanie, and so that kind of like helps to shape, you know, your pursuit as well. Like just we're talking about inspire inclusion. So what does success look like for the woman on the road that is selling tomatoes, or for the rice harvester in the north? You know, what does success look like for them as well? That might be success for them, you know. But for me, in my industry, I mean, I think there are various ceilings that you can break. Sometimes these ceilings are ceilings that we have placed as ceilings, right? Just like you have said, sometimes men have already crossed the ceiling. But for me, I'll say that there are many things that I look at in my life and I say, maybe I want to get there. And sometimes when you get there, you're like, you know what? I think I'm okay here. I don't think that... There's a time in my life where I was quite content. I was not ready to break any ceiling.
Like, this is working,
this is fine, right? I was like, this was around just before COVID, and I felt like I had gotten to a place in my career where I was comfortable, where I felt like everything was going well for me. I'm like, are there places to go? Of course. But right now, I'm enjoying where I'm at and flying at this altitude. And then, of course, we came out of that, and I was like, okay, I can see there's somewhere else to go, and I did. So I think it's really individualized, and it's based off of what you think is success to you.
Awesome. Shredder Gang, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at, well, my personal page is JBooms, so JBUMS, and the business page is Shredder Gang. You can also find us at www.shreddergang.com.
I mean, she's a walking testimony, like she said.
Yes, and I love your videos, by the way. You should really, really follow her. Like, your videos are absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much.
Do you also shred guys?
I do, yes. I do.
I want to include them because before they would think it's only women.
No, we work with both men and women. Everyone.
Yeah, I've worked with them.
Yeah.
Yes, you have.
Okay. Postpartum
yes.
Yeah.
Nice, very well. And thanks a lot. Good luck with everything. And hopefully by this time next year, we're talking about more important things, you know.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's back. Stephanie Koka, I don't know if she's here. She's gone from being my co-host to my guest. Yes. Right now. What you just saw was a trailer for her new documentary. I love the name. Yeah. Where the heck is my period?
Because literally, where is it?
I just want to watch it just by hearing that. What inspired this?
I was inspired by my journey. I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome at the age of 17. And when I left the GP that day, I actually said to myself that, you know, one day this syndrome is going to be what actually gives me purpose in life, because I'm not going to allow it to define me. I'm going to use it to help other women. So that's really what inspired it. And also meeting other women that are living with PCOS and have had like fertility issues. Yeah. I was like, no, this conversation needs to be had. Not only fertility issues, but cardiovascular issues and other diseases like type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. So just to simplify it, what the term you just mentioned, is it a case of irregular periods or, you know,
so many
ovulation? Like what exactly is it? Just for those who don't know.
So PCOS is an endocrine disorder. So it disrupts your menstrual cycle. It causes so many different symptoms ranging from hormonal imbalances, excessive hair growth. Some women even experience like change in foot size, change in voice, so their voice can get deepened. Sugar, they always constantly crave things like that are sweet. Weight gain, so a lot of women are overweight with PCOS. They tend to be overweight. Fertility issues, so it's difficult to conceive when you have PCOS, and you're often told to go and try and have a baby as early as possible to increase your chances. And then PCOS can go on to cause other diseases, like I said, type 2 diabetes, endometrial cancers, as well as gestational diabetes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot going on with this syndrome.
Very, very. I mean, because I woke up today and I was thinking, it's Mother's Day, and I was actually thinking of women who are trying to be mothers, and what they go through on days like this, where it's like, it's probably a sad reminder for a lot of them to say, I hope I can celebrate this one day. And I think this documentary probably speaks to that. But you have become a mother. So the journey for you, maybe we're going to see it in the documentary to understand exactly how you got there, or how you surmounted this issue. But when did you start making this documentary exactly? I know you said you were 17 when you thought about it.
Yeah, not even that I would just do something, even if it's just to champion it. But I actually made this documentary in 2022. Yes. Oh my gosh, time is really flying.
2 years.
2 years ago, and it was just after COVID. After COVID, I really was just like, this needs to be done, especially because of what I went through to conceive my daughter. I was 29 when I got pregnant, and I was 30 when I delivered. And when I posted that, I actually did IVF, which is a form of fertility treatment, people were shocked. They were like, "You're so young. Why would you do IVF?"
I don't understand why.
Yeah, and they were coming up with so many things like, maybe your fallopian tube, you've done really bad things in your past. And I was like, wow, see, this is the thing. Like, there's so many stigmas around women who find it hard to conceive, when PCOS is one of the leading causes of infertility amongst women. And it affects more than 1 in 10 women. Those statistics are to be challenged because we believe it's actually higher than that. Unfortunately, we don't have statistics in Nigeria on PCOS. But yeah, it's something that I felt like it needed a spotlight on. And considering it was hard for me to conceive at that age, I just felt like there are so many other women going through what I'm going through. So.
How do people find this out, though? It sounds like something. Is testing expensive? Because I wonder how does that work? Yeah.
So first of all, you need to figure out the symptoms. Like, why would you want to test for PCOS? Do you have irregular periods? Do you have excessive hair growth? Do you often crave sugar at night, for example? Are you overweight? Does your weight fluctuate? Those are the main 3 symptoms that people would want to test, especially the irregular menstrual cycles. That's the one. That's a giveaway. And then what happens is you have to do a blood test. They test your FSH levels, your hormonal levels, and then also a scan. So you could do a transvaginal scan, or you could just do like a pelvic scan. And they should be able to see if there are cysts, small. So it's poly means small. So if there are loads of tiny cysts on the ovaries, then they would conclude that you probably do have a polycystic ovarian syndrome. And then the treatment. See, here's the thing. Everybody's always like, so how do you treat this? And when I was 17, I was given birth control. And I took it for a month, and it made it worse. Like, for me, they were trying to treat the irregular periods and then also the hormonal acne, but I found that it just made me gain weight. It made me sick. And this is the treatment that they're offering a lot of young women. And there's so much controversy around the contraceptive pill that I just feel like it's probably not the best way to go. So again, doctors, they usually just tell you, gynecologists, when you're ready to get pregnant, we'll figure it out. But until then, here's a pill and here's some benzoyl peroxide for your acne, and you can be on your way, and maybe you can continue.
So there's still not a lot
Yeah, there's just not enough importance given to PCOS. And I find it really strange considering it can lead to so many other diseases like cardiovascular diseases.
Yeah. Well, when is this documentary coming out? Where can we see it? Because I'm
yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming out. It will be streaming on Amazon Prime Video from the 15th of March. So,
This coming Friday.
Yes, in celebration of Women's Month. Yes.
Yeah, very well done. Please look out for it. It's called Where the Heck Is My Period? It's an amazing documentary. At least you can hear that even if you are not, it's not your issue. You never know anybody around you who might need the advice, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, you're a mother now, and, you know, do you find that, you know, because of the issues you went through, that your parenting style, does it affect your parenting style? Because I always wonder when people who are like, you know, you cherish so much, are you spoiling her?
No, so
do you think?
You know, I actually thought about that this morning, and I said, why am I not more lenient with my daughter, considering I literally, you know, went through so much, and you would think that I'd be carrying her like an egg, but I find that her nanny is actually like more lenient with her sometimes. Me, I'll just be like, no, you cannot have this, and you can cry about it, but you will not get it until I say so. So I don't think it really.
How does it differ from your mom's parenting style?
So, towards me.
Towards you.
Oh, yeah, they were really hard on us.
Because that was a different time.
Yeah,
we all went through it.
Oh, we really went through it, and we were really having to go to the gym to really like get past some of the issues. But I think they were much stricter with us. I think our parenting style is. It's an infusion of theirs, and then also what we're learning and how we felt being treated, you know, by our parents. You know, good and some. You know, and nobody's perfect, so. I feel like we all need help. Parenting is not a one-way street. It takes a village, and that's one of the sad things nowadays. It's no longer really the village in society. People tend to feel like they can do it by themselves. Don't talk to my child like that. Don't hit my child. Don't do this. I mean, yes. Spanking, I understand, but you should be able to, your neighbor should be able to caution your child and say, hey, don't do that, it's not good. But not everybody wants to mind their business and be like, I don't want to get in trouble. But don't you also find that
the village is almost now like social media? So people are going to social media to get ideas from cultures or societies or people who don't even exactly know what they're doing, right? Yeah,
I mean, you have to take it with a pinch of caution. Social media is a good place to find tips on parenting and things like that. But again, as you said, I wouldn't take anything. It's like some motivational speakers on social media. They're not necessarily qualified.
Show me your life first.
Yeah, show me your life. And then, you know, I think everybody is really trying to find their feet when it comes to parenting.
What surprised you the most about motherhood?
Oh, wow, so many surprises. First of all, as women, do you know what? I find it so strange that so many women go on to have kids and continue having children, and I'm like, why didn't you tell us, we that were coming, why didn't you tell us that this is what it's like from the pregnancy to giving birth? You people just always quiet and say, oh, don't worry, you two, you'll pass through it.
It's always sweet from afar.
Yes, it's nice doing matching mummy and co things, but the sleepless nights and you not understanding yourself, like, who are you? You become this, because for me, I'm like, okay, I'm Stephanie, I'm a celebrity, I'm a producer, I'm an entrepreneur. But once you become a mother, you really forget who you are. And
it's a whole job.
Yeah, you're waking up every 2 hours to feed and change somebody who does not care who you are. You are literally the help. You are nobody. Yeah. So now you have to get yourself again. Okay, I am this person. Outside of being a mother, I am this person. You have to build that confidence again. So it's a journey.
Well done. Please check out her documentary out this Friday on Amazon Prime Video, Where the Heck Is My Period. It's an amazing, eye-opening documentary. So please look out for it. Call your mom, your sister, and even the men. Watch it, and you never know who might need the support. Thanks a lot, Stephanie, for spending the day with us.
Yeah.
And it's been absolutely amazing. And so you guys at home as well, thanks for watching. Like I always say, you can follow the conversation on social media. Please use the hashtag #RubbinMinds when you send us a message. I'll see you next Sunday.